Bitcoin is not just a digital currency, it is a revolutionary idea that has changed the way the world thinks about money. Imagine a world where you can send money to anyone, anywhere, at any time, without relying on banks, governments, or middlemen. That's the promise Bitcoin brings. Unlike traditional money, which is issued and controlled by central banks, Bitcoin operates independently, powered entirely by technology. It's a currency that anyone can use, but no single person or institution controls. The story of Bitcoin begins during the global financial crisis of 2008, a time when people all over the world were losing faith in banks and financial institutions. Millions of people saw their savings vanish, homes foreclosed, and economies in chaos. In this atmosphere of distrust, an individual or a group under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto introduced Bitcoin through a white paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. This document proposed a new form of money that would allow secure transactions without the need for a trusted third party. It promised transparency, security, and a way to transfer value directly between people, something that had never been possible before in the same way. Bitcoin first became functional in 2009, when the first coins were mined. At first, only a small community of tech enthusiasts and cryptography experts used it. The early transactions were small and experimental. But the potential of Bitcoin was enormous. Unlike traditional money, Bitcoin could not be printed at will. Its supply is strictly limited to 21 million coins, which means scarcity is built into the system. This concept of digital scarcity was entirely new, and it laid the foundation for Bitcoin to eventually become a store of value, similar to gold. Over the years, Bitcoin gained recognition and curiosity from people across the globe. Some saw it as a speculative asset to make a profit. Others saw it as a tool to bypass financial systems that they no longer trusted. As the media began covering Bitcoin, and as major companies and investors started taking notice, Bitcoin's fame skyrocketed. It was no longer just a hobbyist experiment, it became a global phenomenon. People began calling it digital gold, a financial revolution, and even a threat to traditional banking systems. In essence, Bitcoin represents more than just money. It is a symbol of freedom, financial innovation, and decentralization. It challenges the conventional financial order, empowers individuals to control their own wealth, and introduces a new paradigm in which trust is not placed in a central authority, but in transparent technology and mathematics. To understand Bitcoin fully, we first need to explore its history and how it came to be. Bitcoin did not emerge randomly. It was born out of a need for change. The story begins during the global financial crisis of 2008, when banks across the world were failing, economies were collapsing, and millions of people were losing their savings. Trust in traditional financial systems had reached an all-time low. People were desperate for a way to control their own money without depending on centralized institutions that had repeatedly failed them. It was in this turbulent environment that a mysterious figure, or possibly a group of individuals using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto, published a 9-page document called the Bitcoin White Paper. In this paper, Satoshi outlined a revolutionary concept, a decentralized digital currency that could operate without the control of banks or governments. The key idea was to create a peer-to-peer system that allowed people to send money directly to one another over the internet, secured by cryptography and transparency rather than trust. This was the blueprint for Bitcoin, and it was entirely new in the world of finance. In January 2009, the first Bitcoin was mined, marking the official birth of the cryptocurrency. Initially, Bitcoin had no market value, and only a small community of computer scientists and cryptography enthusiasts were aware of it. The first real-world transaction occurred in May 2010, when a programmer named Laszlo Hanyecz famously paid 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas. At the time, this seemed like an unusual experiment, but in retrospect it was a historic moment, the first instance where Bitcoin was used as a medium of exchange in the real world. Today, those 10,000 Bitcoins would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, showing how far Bitcoin has come since its humble beginnings. Over the next few years, Bitcoin slowly gained recognition. Online communities and forums began discussing its potential, and early investors saw the opportunity to use it both as a currency and as a speculative asset. In 2011, Bitcoin reached parity with the US dollar, and shortly after, its price started to rise, attracting more attention from investors, technologists, and the media. This was also when the first comparisons between Bitcoin and gold began to emerge, highlighting its potential as a store of value rather than just a medium of exchange. The history of Bitcoin is also marked by challenges and controversies. Its decentralized nature attracted hackers, illegal transactions, and regulatory scrutiny. Exchanges were hacked, and people lost significant amounts of money. Governments around the world debated how to regulate or even ban Bitcoin, causing massive fluctuations in its price. Despite these obstacles, Bitcoin continued to grow, supported by a dedicated global community that believed in its long-term vision. In essence, Bitcoin's history is a story of innovation meeting necessity. It was born from distrust in traditional financial systems, nurtured by a passionate community of early adopters, and gradually evolved into a global phenomenon. Today, Bitcoin is more than a digital currency. It is a symbol of financial freedom, technological innovation, and the power of decentralized systems. Understanding this history is crucial to appreciating why Bitcoin matters, and why it has captured the imagination of millions of people worldwide. Bitcoin is a form of digital currency, but it is unlike anything we've seen before in the history of money. Unlike traditional currencies such as the US dollar or the euro, Bitcoin does not exist in physical form. There are no coins, no banknotes, and no central authority issuing it. Instead, Bitcoin exists entirely online, stored in digital wallets and transferred over the internet using a peer-to-peer network. This unique nature is what makes it both revolutionary and, for some, confusing. At its core, Bitcoin is a decentralized currency. This means that no single institution, government, or organization controls it. Transactions are verified and recorded by a network of computers around the world, known as nodes, rather than a central bank or authority. This decentralized system removes the need for intermediaries like banks, allowing people to send money directly to one another, anywhere in the world, with speed and efficiency that traditional banking cannot match. Bitcoin is also limited in supply. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins in existence. This artificial scarcity is one of the key reasons why Bitcoin has value. While traditional fiat currencies can be printed endlessly by central banks, potentially causing inflation and devaluation, Bitcoin's fixed supply ensures that it cannot be inflated arbitrarily. This is why many people refer to Bitcoin as digital gold. Like gold, it has a finite supply, is difficult to obtain, and can act as a store of value over time. Another important aspect of Bitcoin is its reliance on cryptography and blockchain technology. Every transaction is recorded in a public ledger called the blockchain, which is transparent and immutable. Once a transaction is confirmed, it cannot be altered or reversed, providing security and trust without the need for a central authority. This means Bitcoin is not only a currency but also a new kind of financial system built on technology, mathematics, and transparency. Bitcoin's value comes from both its technological design and the trust people place in it. People use Bitcoin for various reasons. Some see it as a way to protect their wealth from inflation, some use it to make online payments or transfer money internationally, and others invest in it hoping its price will rise over time. Its appeal lies in the fact that it empowers individuals to take control of their money, free from interference by banks or governments. To truly understand how Bitcoin functions, we need to explore the technology that makes it possible. Blockchain. Blockchain is often called the backbone of Bitcoin, and for good reason. Without it, Bitcoin would simply be another digital file, vulnerable to copying, hacking, or fraud. But with blockchain, Bitcoin becomes a secure, decentralized system that allows people to trust a network instead of a central authority. At its simplest, a blockchain is like a public ledger, a notebook that records every Bitcoin transaction ever made. Imagine a notebook that is duplicated and shared across thousands of computers all around the world. Every time someone sends or receives Bitcoin, a new entry is added to the notebook. These entries are grouped into blocks, which are then linked together in a chronological chain, hence the name blockchain. Each block contains information about the transactions, a timestamp, and a unique code called a hash. This hash not only identifies the block but also connects it securely to the previous block, making the entire chain extremely difficult to alter. One of the key features of blockchain is decentralization. Unlike a bank, where a central authority keeps track of your balance and transactions, the blockchain exists on multiple computers or nodes all over the world. Every node has a copy of the entire blockchain, and they constantly communicate to verify transactions. If someone tries to cheat, say by sending the same Bitcoin twice, the network immediately rejects it. This eliminates the need for trust in a single institution, because the system itself enforces honesty through transparency and mathematics. Another important aspect is immutability. Once a block is added to the blockchain, it cannot be changed. Any attempt to alter a previous block would require altering every subsequent block on thousands of computers simultaneously, an almost impossible task. This ensures that Bitcoin transactions are secure, permanent, and tamper-proof. In a world where digital money can be copied or manipulated, this is revolutionary. Blockchain also allows for peer-to-peer transactions without intermediaries. You can send Bitcoin directly to someone across the world without waiting for banks or payment processors. The network verifies the transaction, adds it to the blockchain, and both parties can be confident it is valid. This is why blockchain is considered both a financial and technological breakthrough. In essence, blockchain turns trust into code. Instead of relying on banks, governments, or third parties, Bitcoin relies on cryptography, consensus rules, and a distributed network of computers. Understanding blockchain is key to understanding Bitcoin, because it explains why a digital currency without physical form or centralized control can still be secure, reliable, and valuable. Bitcoin may exist digitally, but it doesn't appear out of thin air. It is created through a process called mining. Mining is a key component of the Bitcoin ecosystem, and it serves two important purposes: generating new Bitcoins and verifying transactions on the network. Without mining, Bitcoin would not exist as a secure and decentralized currency. Mining works like a competition between computers. Miners use powerful computers to solve extremely complex mathematical problems. These problems are not designed for humans to solve. They require a lot of computational power. When a miner successfully solves a problem, they are allowed to add a new block of transactions to the Bitcoin blockchain. In return for this work, the miner is rewarded with newly created Bitcoins. This reward is called the block reward, and it is how new Bitcoins enter circulation. An essential feature of Bitcoin mining is that it is decentralized. There is no central authority deciding who gets to mine or how many Bitcoins are issued. Instead, the network itself enforces rules and ensures fairness. This means that anyone with the right hardware and software can participate in mining. Over time, mining difficulty adjusts automatically to ensure that new blocks are added roughly every 10 minutes, no matter how many miners are active on the network. Another crucial aspect of mining is security. Every transaction that is added to a block must be verified by the network before it is finalized. Miners confirm the authenticity of each transaction, ensuring that the same Bitcoin is not spent twice and that the network remains trustworthy. Because mining requires solving extremely difficult problems, it is computationally expensive and time-consuming, which makes it almost impossible for anyone to manipulate the blockchain. It's also important to understand Bitcoin's supply limit. Only 21 million Bitcoins will ever exist. Mining rewards are designed to decrease over time through a process called halving, which happens approximately every 4 years. This gradual reduction in new Bitcoins makes the currency increasingly scarce and is one of the reasons why Bitcoin's value can rise over time. In essence, Bitcoin mining is not just about creating digital coins, it is the foundation that makes Bitcoin secure, decentralized, and trustworthy. Miners are like digital accountants and security guards, keeping the network honest while earning rewards for their work. Without mining, Bitcoin could not function as a reliable, decentralized digital currency, and the revolutionary system Satoshi Nakamoto envisioned would not be possible. One of the most fascinating and sometimes frustrating aspects of Bitcoin is its price volatility. Unlike traditional currencies or most stocks, the value of Bitcoin can rise or fall dramatically in a short period of time. Understanding why Bitcoin's price fluctuates is essential for anyone interested in investing, using, or studying this revolutionary digital currency. The first factor affecting Bitcoin's price is supply and demand. As we discussed earlier, Bitcoin has a fixed supply of 21 million coins, and this scarcity creates inherent value. When demand increases, whether from new investors, companies, or countries adopting Bitcoin, its price tends to rise. Conversely, if demand drops or people sell off their holdings, the price can fall sharply. Unlike fiat currencies, Bitcoin cannot be printed or inflated by governments, which makes supply a constant factor in its price movements. Another key reason for Bitcoin's volatility is market sentiment and news. Bitcoin's price reacts strongly to announcements, media coverage, and social media trends. Positive news, such as a major company accepting Bitcoin as payment, can cause sudden price spikes. Negative news, like government crackdowns, exchange hacks, or regulatory restrictions, can lead to rapid declines. Because Bitcoin is still a relatively new and speculative asset, investors often react emotionally to news, which amplifies price swings. Institutional involvement is also a significant factor. As large investors, hedge funds, and corporations buy or sell Bitcoin in large quantities, the market can experience substantial short-term changes. Unlike highly liquid markets with millions of daily trades, Bitcoin's market is still developing, which makes it more susceptible to price swings caused by big players. Another contributing factor is technological developments and upgrades. Bitcoin is built on complex software, and changes or updates to its network can affect confidence among users and investors. Innovations that improve security, scalability, or usability can increase the price, while network issues or security vulnerabilities can reduce confidence and lower the price. Lastly, regulatory uncertainty plays a major role. Governments around the world have different stances on Bitcoin, ranging from full acceptance to outright bans. When a country announces favorable regulations or legalization, Bitcoin's price often rises. On the other hand, when authorities threaten restrictions or impose taxes, the price can drop significantly. Bitcoin has attracted millions of users worldwide, not only because it is a revolutionary form of money, but also because it offers unique advantages over traditional financial systems. One of the most significant benefits of Bitcoin is its global accessibility. With Bitcoin, anyone with an internet connection can send or receive money anywhere in the world in just minutes. There are no bank branches, intermediaries, or geographic limitations. This is especially valuable for people living in countries with unstable banking systems or limited access to financial services. Another advantage is lower transaction costs. Traditional money transfers, especially international ones, often involve high fees and slow processing times. Bitcoin transactions, by contrast, can be completed at a fraction of the cost and in a matter of minutes. This makes it highly efficient for both personal and business transactions. Security is another key benefit. Bitcoin transactions are recorded on a blockchain, which is transparent and immutable. Once confirmed, a transaction cannot be altered or reversed, making fraud extremely difficult. Furthermore, Bitcoin gives users full control over their funds. Unlike bank accounts, where access can be frozen or restricted, Bitcoin allows users to manage their wealth independently. Bitcoin is also considered by many as a store of value. Because of its limited supply of 21 million coins, it cannot be inflated by governments, unlike fiat currencies. This has led many people to call Bitcoin digital gold, viewing it as a hedge against inflation and currency devaluation. However, along with these advantages come several risks. One of the most obvious is volatility. Bitcoin's price can rise or fall dramatically within hours, making it a high-risk investment. People can experience substantial gains, but also heavy losses. Another risk is security of private keys. Bitcoin is stored in digital wallets, and access depends on private keys, long, complex codes. If a user loses their private key or it gets stolen, the Bitcoins associated with that wallet can be lost forever, with no way to recover them. Regulatory uncertainty is also a concern. Governments worldwide are still debating how to treat Bitcoin. Some countries have embraced it, while others have imposed restrictions or even banned it. Such actions can affect confidence in the market and cause sudden price drops. Finally, Bitcoin's technological complexity can be a risk for beginners. Without proper understanding, users may fall victim to scams, phishing attacks, or poor investment decisions. Looking ahead, Bitcoin's future seems promising but uncertain. On one hand, its adoption continues to grow. Large companies are beginning to accept Bitcoin for payments, investment funds are adding it to their portfolios, and some countries are exploring or even implementing Bitcoin-friendly regulations. These developments indicate that Bitcoin could gradually become a mainstream form of digital money, potentially transforming the way we think about transactions, savings, and financial freedom. On the other hand, challenges remain. Regulatory uncertainty is still a major factor, as governments around the world grapple with how to control, tax, or integrate Bitcoin into their economies. Price volatility continues to be a concern, especially for those looking to use Bitcoin as a stable currency rather than an investment. Moreover, technological risks, such as potential security vulnerabilities or scalability issues, could impact its growth if not addressed effectively. Despite these challenges, the underlying technology, blockchain, and the principles of decentralization and transparency are likely to have a lasting impact. Even if Bitcoin itself faces obstacles, the concept of digital decentralized currency has already changed the financial landscape. It has opened doors to innovation, from other cryptocurrencies to decentralized finance, DeFi platforms, smart contracts, and more. In conclusion, Bitcoin represents more than just money. It symbolizes a shift in power from centralized authorities to individuals. It empowers people to take control of their wealth, reduces dependency on traditional financial institutions, and introduces new possibilities for global commerce. While its path may be volatile and uncertain, Bitcoin's influence on the financial world is undeniable. For those interested in participating in the Bitcoin ecosystem, education and careful planning are essential. Start small, understand the risks, and stay informed about market trends and technological developments. Bitcoin may not replace traditional money overnight, but it is undoubtedly shaping the future of finance. In short, Bitcoin is not just a currency, it is a financial revolution, a technological breakthrough, and a symbol of